Once upon a time, in a small village on the outskirts of the city, there lived a boy named Ian. Ian was a curious child, always asking questions about everything around him. He loved playing video games, but he wasn't like other kids. While his friends played games for fun, Ian wondered how these games worked and how he could create one himself. One day, while browsing the internet, Ian came across a video about programming. He watched the video eagerly and heard for the first time about something called code. The video explained that programming is the way programmers tell computers what to do, whether it's creating a game, an app, or even a website. Ian decided he wanted to become a programmer, but he didn't know where to start. So, he went to his parents and told them about his dream. His parents were very supportive and bought him a children's book about programming. The book was full of colorful illustrations and explained basic concepts in a simple way. Ian started reading the book and learned his first step, conditional statements. These statements allow the computer to make decisions based on certain conditions. For example, if Ian wanted to make the game character move forward when the player presses the right arrow, he would need to write a code that says, if the player presses the right arrow, move the character forward. The idea intrigued Ian, so he decided to try writing some simple codes. But he quickly encountered a challenge. The code he wrote didn't work as expected, and he felt frustrated. He began to doubt his abilities, but then he remembered a piece of advice from the book. Programming requires patience and persistence. Mistakes are part of the learning process. Ian went back to the book and started reading again, trying to understand what he had done wrong. Then he tried again, and this time the result was better, but the code still had some errors. He began to think about how to fix them, and he used a search engine to find a solution. After hours of attempts, he finally succeeded in making his character move as he wanted. That moment was a turning point for Ian. He realized that programming was like a puzzle-solving game, and every problem was a challenge that could be overcome with patience and perseverance. He began to feel excited and wanted to learn more. So, he started experimenting with new things, like adding sounds to his game or making the character jump when pressing a certain button. After a few months, Ian became more proficient in programming. He wasn't just making simple games. He also started learning how to design and animate graphics. He had a notebook full of ideas for new games he wanted to create. Ian also became the center of attention among his friends, who were impressed by what he made. One day, Ian decided to create a game that reflected an adventure story involving him and his friends. He began by drawing the characters and designing the levels, and he wrote the code that made the characters move and face challenges. He worked on the game for many weeks, sometimes staying up late into the night to complete a particular piece of code. Finally, after a lot of effort, Ian finished making the game. He invited his friends to play the new game, and they were all amazed at what he had created. The game was fun and full of challenges, and they spent hours trying to overcome the difficult levels.